Vikings Nation, buckle up because the quarterback landscape for 2026 just got flipped upside down in a way that directly impacts Minnesota's entire offseason strategy. The team desperately needs a veteran to push the competition, but a major injury to a key potential target has thrown everything into chaos. What once looked like a realistic path now feels like a maze with no clear exit, and the pressure on the current QB just skyrocketed. The front office is weighing options, timelines, and risks that could define not only next season, but the long-term future of this franchise. You do not want to miss what's unfolding. Hit like, subscribe, and stay with us because this storyline is only getting more intense. JJ McCarthy is the name I have to start with today because every layer of this Vikings storyline, every contract discussion, every injury update from around the league, every offseason prediction comes crashing back down onto the shoulders of this 22-year-old quarterback. And as I look at the situation unfolding with Daniel Jones, an Achilles tear, a suddenly altered free agent market, and a Minnesota franchise staring at a $36 million cap deficit in 2026, I can't help but feel the temperature rising around McCarthy's future, whether people want to admit it or not. Because this isn't just about next season. This is about what kind of franchise the Vikings want to be when the pressure tightens and the quarterback plan gets messy. When Daniel Jones was healthy, when he was leading the Colts to an 8-4 start and setting himself up to cash in as the top free agent of the upcoming offseason, it made sense that Minnesota was only a fringe possibility. They couldn't match the financial firepower of a team like Indianapolis, and more importantly, they couldn't guarantee Jones a starting job because McCarthy, even with his growing pains, remains an organizational investment they cannot simply discard. But the moment Jones went down with that Achilles tear, everything changed. Suddenly, the dynamic shifts from how do we afford Daniel Jones to could Daniel Jones become a strategic bargain at exactly the moment the Vikings need a veteran hedge. And that's where things get fascinating for me, because Minnesota is one of the very few franchises in position to benefit from signing an injured quarterback in 2026. They don't need someone to come in and take over in week 1. They need someone who can push JJ McCarthy, challenge him, mentor him, and be ready if the kid still can't find steady footing by midseason. And when you add the fact that McCarthy is coming off the best performance of his career, that 31-0 dismantling of the Commanders, where he went 16 of 23 for 163 yards and 3 touchdowns, you begin to see the outlines of a plan that isn't desperate but strategic. Let McCarthy cook early. Let him stumble or succeed on his own merits. And then, when Daniel Jones is finally healthy enough to prove something, you evaluate the fit and the cost. Still, I need to be blunt. This situation is only happening because the Vikings put themselves into a bizarre quarterback corner. They let Daniel Jones walk. They let Sam Darnold walk. They traded everything for a top 10 pick, put JJ McCarthy on the fast track to the starting job, and now find themselves in this strange midpoint between optimism and regret. None of this is normal, but Minnesota's quarterback history hasn't been normal for decades. At some point, you have to acknowledge the pattern, even if it stings. And when I hear analysts suggest that Jones could return on a cheap trial contract, or that the Vikings might revisit a player who already knows Kevin O'Connell's system, I can't help but wonder if this franchise is finally learning how to hedge its risks rather than doubling down on hope. But here's the real truth fans need to grapple with. Whether Daniel Jones becomes a Viking in 2026 depends almost entirely on JJ McCarthy. If McCarthy rolls into next season and becomes the guy Minnesota believed he could be, then Daniel Jones becomes a luxury, a veteran clipboard holder waiting quietly in the wings. But if McCarthy falters, if he shows the same inconsistencies that plagued his rookie year, then let me tell you something right now. Daniel Jones will look like a lifeline. He'll look like a second chance at the decision Minnesota might already regret allowing to slip away. And that's what makes this entire scenario so intriguing. It gives the Vikings flexibility they haven't had at quarterback in years. So now I want to hear from you, Vikings fans. Do you believe bringing back Daniel Jones in 2026 would be the perfect safety net for JJ McCarthy? Or should Minnesota stay locked into their young quarterback without revisiting old decisions? Drop your thoughts below, and if you want more passionate, no-nonsense Vikings breakdowns, make sure you like, subscribe, and join this community, because we're just getting warmed up.